everything started, as we start watching some of these storms just off to our west start to roll into our area. So do me a favor. I'm gonna give a couple of people a couple minutes because I told folks around 7:30 to get in here. Go ahead and like the live, hit share. You can get it out as many people as you want. I know a lot of people are a little curious with this system that's rolling into our area because it's been a little bit since we've had a storm system roll through. Not that this is a high-end severe risk by any means, but I mean it's the first one that's close to our area that we've had in a while. So um, we will go ahead and get into that here in just a couple of minutes. Again, just hit share, hit the like, and we can go ahead and get this thing started. Good morning, Crispy on YouTube. Um, Bill, I think the sound should be working now. So we're streaming on Facebook and YouTube, and we're also streaming on my TikTok page for anybody that is on TikTok. So obviously, this one has a lot of people's attention because we haven't had a storm system roll through in a very long time. So obviously, that's going to be pretty impactful around our area as it starts to roll its way on in. So I just want to go ahead and go through it and start talking about when the storms are going to arrive at your home, and of course when the strongest winds are going to arrive at your home as well. Because honestly, the winds with this system are a little bit more of a concern, quote unquote, than the actual storms themselves. So again, hit share. We'll go ahead and get into it, and we'll go ahead and get started. So first of all, what's out there right now? We can see out right now, all the storms are to our west. Up through Jasper, getting up toward Seymour. We're starting to see a few of those showers trying to make their way on into our southern Indiana communities. This was that 30% chance we talked about this morning for the morning show as they started to roll through our area, but that was about it. And now the sunset's already happened. We're going to start to watch these storms back to our west, get ready to roll right on into our area. So when we look live at radar right now, not a whole lot going on, right? We've got a couple of these showers that are up near the Bedford area that are just missing us. But again, these aren't severe. These are regular old downpours around our area, but most of us are still dry. To our west, though, is a little bit of a different story. So when you look to our west, you can see that this thing is still packing a punch, especially get over towards southern Illinois, where we have a severe thunderstorm warning moving into southern Illinois for the moment for damaging wind gusts. You go down the line, you've got more of that moving out of Little Rock into Mississippi. But of course, we're wondering what's happening in our area. One thing I will note, I'm literally just picking up on this and doing live analysis with you guys as I'm reading. Down to our southwest, in West Tennessee, if I hit now, these little pop-ups that are moving through right here, I think we need to keep an eye on these right here, moving out of Jackson, Tennessee, because these are going to be moving northwest, or northeast, excuse me. So this is going to be moving close to our area, and it's out ahead of that main line of storms. So it's going to be rolling into an untapped atmosphere. Now, it'll be a few hours until it gets here, but it will still be running into an atmosphere that hasn't even been touched yet, right? So it's going to have more cape to work with. We'll get into that here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and get to, of course, what all you all want to know is the timing for everything. So first of all, how is data doing right now? If we can't trust data, what's going on right now, how in the world are we going to trust it in the future, right? Well, there's what data says it's happening right now. You look at what's happening right now. It's doing pretty well, which is good. That means we can at least trust this model, or at least this run, as it starts to roll into our area and starts to play it out. So I've put wind gusts on here as well. Obviously, data is going a little generous for showers that are actually in Louisville because there aren't any out there right now. But the ones that are to our west are still doing good. By the way, if you think of a question, it pops in your head, you can just type it in the chat, and I'll get to that right when we get to the end of it, and we'll go through a bunch of questions here in a few minutes, and then we'll end the live at around 8:15-ish, so that we can get ready for the news at 10. I am working for Matthew Wine tonight. I'm going to be back here again tomorrow morning. Rick DeLuke's going to help me overnight, so I can at least get a few hours of sleep in there as we watch the system. So anyway, share the video. Let's get into it. So showers are still rolling into our area late tonight. Here's 9 o'clock. Most of us are still dry. We get toward 10:30. You see this little pop-up that's near Tell City. These are the couple pop-ups that I just showed you in West Tennessee, and they're getting ahead of that main line. So this could end up being one storm. This could end up being multiple storms. But the reason I want to mention this is because data is starting to pick up on that. So that one that's just over Tell City at around 11, give or take, that's the one that could be out ahead of the line. And that one we would need to watch Since it's out ahead, again, it's an untapped atmosphere, it can work a little bit with some of that cape and some of that wind energy that's starting to roll its way on in and could become severe. That's what we're going to be watching first. The main line starts to approach our western communities between around midnight and 1 o'clock. And it's moving at a good speed, so I would maybe say more 12 to 12:30, 12 to 12:45. So Paoli, Tell City, Seymour, Bedford, you guys west of 65 between around midnight and 1 is when I think a lot of that's going to be rolling into your area. Now, as we continue to go through data right now, and again, I'll continue to look at data over the next about hour and a half before the 10 o'clock, so be sure to tune back in at 10 o'clock tonight. That data has it rolling into Louisville between around 2 and 3. But what you'll notice is that those storms do not look as good. As the further east they go, the more pathetic that they look, right? And there's a reason behind that. It's because we're losing daytime heating. We don't have as much cape left over. The winds, on the other hand, are going the other direction. So our wind energy is going up. Our storm energy is going down. Well, you need both to get severe weather, which, again, we'll talk about here in a minute. So these storms are weakening as they move off to the east. The wind is still whipping around. It's howling. It's probably going to wake you up overnight tonight, to be completely honest with you. But thunder may not, because a lot of these storms may end up just being downpours when they roll into our area, but you're going to have a lot of wind with them. Along the actual front, that's going to push through our area between around 6 and 8 tomorrow morning. That could bring up a few rumbles of thunder since you got a little bit of lift along that actual front. That's going to move its way on through. And then as we head into Sunday, it's still windy. Winds are still around 30 to 35 at times. And it's just this on and off dreary shower stuff that nobody really likes. But the temperatures tomorrow will be falling through the day. They're not going to be increasing. So when you see the 7-day at 10 o'clock and it says like 73, 74, don't be fooled. That's going to be around midnight tonight. In the afternoon tomorrow, I think at this point, we're probably going to be in the mid-50s. But with this north wind, it's pumping in that cooler air. And then next thing you know, oh yeah, we're hanging out in the low to mid-40s Monday morning. Monday afternoon is excellent. So first of all, what do we have to have for severe weather? Because obviously that's the big interest with this, right? You have to have instability. You have to have warmth. You have to have high dew points. Well, we've had warmth today. We have higher dew points. That's why it's a little more muggy, right? But when these storms roll in, we're already cooling off. If they were rolling in right now, it'd be a different story. They have a lot of cape to work with. But we're going to continue to cool off hour by hour from here on out. So we're losing that storm energy. It's not zero, but we're losing it. Wind shear, you have to have strong wind energy. That's about a mile above the ground. We look for about 40-mile-an-hour winds, about a mile above the ground. I'm going to tell you right now, we go way, way, way above that, especially after midnight tonight. So our wind energy is going crazy. We got plenty of that. But what we're lacking is the instability later on tonight. So I'm going to show you what's called instability, or CAPE. You may hear us call it storm energy. You can see the units right now. It's enough for severe weather, especially in the fall. 500 units is plenty. But I want you to watch, because it's not storming right now in our area, right? You head toward 10 o'clock, that number starts to come down a little bit. You head toward midnight when they're approaching our western communities, that number's still coming down a little bit. And by the time it gets to Louisville, there is some, but there's not a lot. Again, there is still some, but there's not a whole lot for these storms to work with. And that is why these showers and storms are weakening as they move further to the east. The big question is how long and how quickly are they actually going to weaken? That's going to be the big question. As it moves on to our east, you'll see it just gets completely nuked, and then we lose the instability basically altogether. So from there, we need to focus on wind energy. Remember, this is about a mile above the ground, so when you see these numbers go crazy here in a minute, don't freak out. This is not at the surface. This is about a mile above our heads. But it is still worth talking about because they are going to start to go up big time. So here's 9 o'clock. Here about the next hour and a half. It's not storming in our area. Wind shear's okay. It's still subpar. Watch what happens the later we go. Ooh. Oh, man, right? 72-mile-an-hour winds, a mile above the ground in Paoli. That's a lot more than 40. 65 in Louisville, that's a lot more than 40. Again, this is not on the ground. This is about a mile above the ground. But that is more than enough wind energy. That's hellacious for this time of year to get storms rolling. So storms have plenty of wind energy, especially after midnight, approaching 1 to 2 o'clock. But we're lacking on the storm energy. And that is why the organized severe weather risk for today is back to our west. So it's close to our area. Yes, but it does get up to around Grayson County. So that's kind of what we're watching. I'll pull this full so you guys can see it a little bit easier here. That organized severe weather risk is not in our area. That's important. But it does get close. And that is just some uncertainty from the SPC. Now, with that being said, I'm still leaving damaging wind gusts on there. I'm still leaving hail on there. And at that bottom note, it may freak you out a little bit, but again, let me tell you, is that while I had brief spin up on there, it is a very low chance. It's just not zero. With the amount of wind energy we got, I can't rule it out. I'm not saying it's going to happen because odds are it's not going to. But I have to at least mention it because it's around like 1% to 2% kind of ordeal there to where a brief spin up is possible. It's just not incredibly likely. If it was going to happen, to be honest with you, it's going to be west of 65. So when we look at surface wind gusts, so now this is on the ground. Okay. You go toward 11 o'clock tonight and you see some gusts here or there. Yeah, they go up above 50 or around 50. Now, that's not consistent. Those are isolated gusts. Not everyone's going to see that. Your home may only see 30, 35 mile an hour wind gusts. Great. But your home also might see a 50 mile an hour wind gust here or there. That can knock down tree branches. That can knock down twigs on trees. That can blow away Halloween decor. That can blow away anything on your porch, on your deck. I would go ahead and bring those into the garage or strap them down now. Because it's been a breezy day. It's going to turn windy overnight tonight. We start to lose that wind as it moves its way off to our east. So that's basically my spiel. I'll take plenty of time for some questions that we can go ahead and go through. And we'll go ahead and pull that up here in just a second. So if you have a question, drop it in. I'm going to pull up so that everybody can see it right here. And then we'll start to go through them, and I'll try to answer as many as I possibly can. All right. Salem weather for the next 2 hours. Nate Williams on Facebook asks, here at Salem Speedway watching races. So I know Saturday nights are big racing nights up in Indiana. And over the next 2 hours, Nate, you should be good to go. Now, with that being said, you are a little bit further north. So some of those little showers that are close to our area, up into or close to Seymour, trying to get into Bedford, they'll be close to our area and they'll be close to you. But in terms of storms, that's going to hold off until mainly after midnight tonight. All right, Be Alive, Switzerland County. They asked that on my Facebook page as well. So Switzerland's just outside of our viewing area. But I'll go back to what Advanced Track is showing real quick, just to answer your question for Switzerland County. So, well, if you just join, hit share. Everybody can see it. We'll go through the timeline real quick. We need to watch a couple of those storms out ahead of the main line around 10 to midnight. It approaches our western commutes between 10 and 1. Approaches Louisville between around 1 and 3, maybe 2 and 3 if you want to throw a dart at it. Switzerland County, those storms are continuing to weaken. I can't say a severe storm is impossible because it is, but by the time it gets that far east, it should be in a much more weakening phase around 3 to 4 o'clock for Switzerland County overnight tonight. All right, let's see. Kathy on YouTube says, I'm in Mount Eden. How does it look here for hail? So hail isn't really a huge concern with this since we have a lot of wind energy. In some of the stronger storms, in some of the stronger areas of that main line, you might be able to get a couple hailstones out of it, but I don't think we're talking about huge hail or anything like that. I think some marble would be possible, but it's definitely not the biggest impact, which is going to be the damaging winds. All right, Tiffany Barnett on Facebook says, how bad for Louisville, Kentucky around Taylor Boulevard? So Louisville as a whole, these storms are going to be in a weakening phase. How weak they're going to be is still a little bit up in question. They're not going to be as strong as they were to our west because they don't have a lot of storm energy to work with. We're cooler by 2 to 3 a.m., right? So by then, they'll be in a weakening phase. Doesn't mean they can't be strong because you're going to hear the wind more than anything out of these storms. All right, let's go. Andrea Deal on Facebook. This is all overnight. I have to travel to Indy tomorrow. So, Andrea, depends on what time you're leaving. The low chance for strong storms is overnight, yes, but it's still going to be raining tomorrow morning, and it's still going to be windy. So that drive to Indy is going to be a little bit of a rough one. You're going to hold on to your steering wheel, but in terms of severe weather, that will be shut down by tomorrow morning. Let's try to get a couple in here that we've missed. Got a lot of questions. Ashley Nicole talking about Owensboro. Hopefully I went ahead and just covered your question there with that timeline that I just went through. Jasmine Gallahan on Facebook says Bardstown at 1 p.m. tomorrow. So 1 o'clock tomorrow, we're still going to have some showers, kind of on and off rain. It's going to be windy, gusts suggesting 30 to 35. And again, those temps are going to be falling. They're probably in the upper 50s, low 60s by 1 o'clock. What's your opinion on power outages in southern Indiana? Joe Baldwin on Facebook asked. So I think widespread outages are not likely. Scattered, isolated outages are possible, especially since these trees have a lot of leaves on them still. We haven't really lost a lot. Some of them could be impacted. A branch landing on a transformer, you know how it goes. It doesn't take much. So some scattered outages are possible, but in terms of it being a huge issue, I don't really think that's going to be too much of the case here. Expecting any flooding. So other than maybe some local, very local flooding, I'm not really expecting flooding too much around our area. This would bring a decent amount of rain, but we're not talking about a couple Tuesdays ago when we got like 5 inches of rain in Louisville. I don't think that's going to be the case this time around. Good evening. Good evening. Teacher Bro on YouTube. I like the name. Any thunderstorms coming out of this in J-Town. So J-Town's kind of bundled in there with Louisville between around 1 and 3, maybe 2 and 3 if you throw a dart at it. Expect the weakening storms to be rolling into our area. Watching from Cloverport. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. Thanks, Bryce. Thank you. I appreciate that. Little Taz Graves on Facebook says storm tomorrow morning and afternoon, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. High winds around 30 to 40 miles an hour. You got it, man. You got it on the money. I think around 8 a.m. we could have some storms left over, but by the afternoon tomorrow, it's going to transition over to more scattered showers. Not all day, but just kind of on and off. And it's still going to be windy tomorrow. And again, temps are going to be cooling through the day, so just keep that in mind. It will be cooler tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow morning. How sustained are the winds and what is the gust? Thank you, Tim Pugel. I hope I'm saying that right on Facebook. So winds could be gusting up to 40 to 50. And that's why we have a wind advisory, which for some reason I didn't throw that graphic in there. I'll pull it up real quick and show you guys. If you missed that on our blog, we do have a wind advisory out. It includes everybody but Lawrence, Jackson, Jennings. Honestly, they may as well be included. The only reason they're not is because they're covered by the NWS and Indy, and NWS and Louisville covered all their other counties that are listed here. That starts at 1 a.m. tonight, goes through 9 a.m. tomorrow, and this is for wind gusts, isolated wind gusts, 40 to 50 miles an hour. Sustained, we're probably talking around 25 to 35, maybe even 25 to 30, but it's going to be howling tonight at times, especially once those gusts start to come back up again. Good evening. I'm so used to saying good morning. Good evening for sales. E-Town, you're at about the same timeline as Louisville. Probably between about 2 and 3, maybe 1 and 3 if you want to give yourself a little bit more time. Paul Dillon on Facebook says UK and Texas predictions. So I haven't looked at the score. I know they just started like 45 minutes ago. I'll go like 24-14 Texas, unfortunately. When it starts Louisville, hopefully I've covered that. And once this video is over, by the way, after you share it, you can go back and rewind through the very beginning before I take any questions as we go through the timeline. Is it going to hail in Corden, Indiana? Tanya Shelton on Facebook says. Hail is possible. It's not really a main concern. If you see it, it's not going to be big. Damaging winds is by far the biggest impact with this one. Easily. Thanks, Bryce. Hope I can mow tomorrow. Too lazy today. Susie, you're probably not going to be able to mow tomorrow, unfortunately. Monday afternoon, you probably will be with the amount of wind rolling through tomorrow and the rain. It should dry things off pretty quick. Tomorrow's a great sit inside, maybe put a pot of chili on the stove and turn on some NFL football because it's not exactly a good weather day tomorrow to be out. It's not awful, but it's not great. Okay, good question. Cassidy Ann White says on Facebook, any tornado risks? So There is a tornado risk, but I'm telling you right now, it's not very high. It's just not zero. That's why I mention it. And that is why I put it in our severe risk for the day, which again, I'll pull up here for you guys, and you can see it a little bit easier here. So I did put brief spin up on there just because of the amount of wind energy we have. Sometimes Mother Nature can do what it wants and some freak things can happen. But since these storms will be weakening, it's not very likely. It's not impossible. It's just not very likely. I think if we were to get warnings today, and I'm not saying we are, I think we could get a couple maybe. If we were to get any, it's going to be for winds, more than likely. What areas of tornado risk? Irvin Grimes asked. Again, the tornado risk is very low. It's just not zero. Mainly west of 65. If we were to see a spin up, which again, damaging winds, straight line winds are the biggest impact. Shelbyville, I'd say probably between around 2 and 3. And again, guys, these are going to be weakening. This is not by any means a big storm, huge storm threat, huge severe threat. It's just the first one we've had in a little bit. It's close to our area, so I know a lot of people are really interested in it. And you've probably seen some crap online from weather pages that just try to use scare tactics to get you. There's just not a lot of cape left. So honestly, what are storms now might just be gusty rain by the time it gets here. But I mean, they're good wind speeds, so that's why that's kind of the main impact. Matt Prophet, what kind of chili do you like? I like all kinds of chili, man. Asking the important questions over here. I like it. Let's see. Shepherdsville, Brianna Hazel on Facebook asks, so Shepherdsville, since it's north-south-wise, right aligned with Louisville, I'd say probably between 1 and 3, maybe 2 and 3. Again, if you want to throw a dart at it. Okay. For all those asking specific locations, I'm going to go through that timeline one more time for you guys, just so you get a little bit of an idea if you're just now joining or maybe someone shared it to you. Let's go ahead and dive into that one more time. And then I will look at new data because we don't come on air tonight. I'm in for Matthew tonight, by the way. That's why I'm here at 7:50 at night. We're back on at 10. New data is going to come through over the next hour. I'm going to dive into that. I'm going to update the timeline. So be sure to join us then as well if you can. Again, I want to mention one more time these couple little pop-up storms that could try to get ahead of the line down by Tell City. Data's just now showing it. We saw a few of those in Tennessee at the very beginning of the live. So we'll keep an eye on that because that would be rolling into an untapped atmosphere, and those could go severe because they're rolling through earlier in the evening. But here's the main timing for the main line. Between 12 and 1 for our western communities like Paoli, Tell City, Litchfield, Bedford, Seymour. It gets to Louisville between around 1 and 3. You could argue maybe 2 and 3, 1:30 to 2:30. I'm not going to throw an exact dart at it because at the end of the day, Mother Nature's going to do what Mother Nature wants to do. But I'm thinking around a 1 to 3 in Louisville. But you can see how much weaker it becomes the further east it goes. Our eastern community, Shelbyville, even outside of our viewing area, if you know anybody in Frankfort, that'll be over there between around 3 and 4, maybe 4 and 5. But if you know anybody in Lexington heading home from the UK game later on tonight, they may run into a couple of these storms if they have to go further west than 65. Other than that, most folks should be able to get home in time before those start to actually roll through our area. Thank you, Cassidy. I appreciate that. Double shifts are never easy, but especially when weather's active. But, here we are. Teacher Bro on YouTube says, sounds like a horror movie and chilly kind of day tomorrow. That's exactly what I'm talking about, my friend. Exactly what I'm talking about. Do you think we will see 80 degrees again this year, or is fall finally here to stay? Troy Hansen on Facebook asks. I mean, look, I know we're back in the low to mid 80s again today, but we're getting into a new pattern here, and it's going to be a little bit more of an active pattern to where we'll have more storm systems roll through over the next few weeks. I think it's going to keep temps down. I don't think we're going to be able to get back to 80 for a while, which may be the end of it. Crispy Biscuit on YouTube. You guys are killing me with these names. Are we worried about those front running cells being supercells / tornadic, or is it just gusty storms? Great question. So I'll go back to that real quick for Crispy that's asking on YouTube. So you see data picking up on a couple of storms, mainly after 10 o'clock. And I'll pull graphics full again so you guys can see this a little easier. Get my big head out of the way. So you see this storm right here. That may not even happen. But data's starting to show that. Again, with like these storms right here. As they start to push their way north, you see it as away from that main line. It's away from this mess. It's moving into an area that has some storm energy, and it's moving into an untapped atmosphere. So those could become supercells, yes. In terms of tornadic, again, it's not impossible. It's just not the most likely scenario. And in fact, let's go back and I'll look at this live with you guys so you can see kind of what I look at. When we look down in Tennessee, this is what data is thinking could end up being that. And right now, they look pretty darn pathetic, right? It's these little pop-ups. They're down near Clarksville, Tennessee, just west of Nashville. Right now, they're not anything. Could they get stronger? Could they get maybe forming into a storm? Sure. But for now, they're pretty darn weak. But that is what data's trying to pick up on. And that's where that's coming from, if you're curious. So we'll keep an eye on it heading over the next few hours. It wouldn't be till after 10 until it gets here anyway. Let's see. Thank you, Bryce, and the whole WDRB team. You guys are the best. Thank you, Junior. Appreciate that. Sometimes the hours are long, like today for me, but you know I'm right back here again tomorrow morning too. So, will the tornado threat die down the later it gets? Kelly Bowman on Facebook. Yes. Again, the tornado threat, guys. The only reason I even mention it is because it's just not impossible. It's not very likely. But when you have this much wind energy, you can't completely rule it out. But again, these storms are weakening the further east they go. So the further and the later we go overnight, the lower that chance is going to get, even for severe storms. Some of our area may not even see severe storms tonight. Some of our area may not. But if we do, it's going to be because of damaging wind gusts. And it's going to depend on how long those showers and storms to our west can last. I honestly think a lot of you are just going to see some really windy downpours tonight. Gail Jones, thank you, Bryce. Hope you get a little rest in the weather center before you are on tomorrow morning. Everybody, that is my mom. Everybody say hello to Gail Jones. Hello, Mom. No, I'm going home for a little bit. Rick DeLuca is going to cover the wee hours in the morning for me so I can get about 4 hours of sleep. Tomorrow will be a chicken and rice day. Hey, look, I'm telling my wife, I tell my wife, she mentioned it to me, to be quite honest. Hey, tomorrow's probably a good chili day. I said, you know what? You're right. So I'll be looking forward to that tomorrow afternoon. All right, Brian Thompson says, how much rain? So most data shows some isolated areas that could get over an inch. Most of it's probably get a little less than that. Because, again, this line is probably not going to hold together through our entire area. So we should start to see that lighten up some. It is going to get weaker and weaker, Jessica Page, yes. Guys, I'm going to be on here for about another 5 minutes or so. I've got to go shoot teases for halftime of, I don't know what college football game's on Fox right now. Whatever's on Fox. Halftime, you can catch my face on there. Thank you, Cat Braille, keeping us informed. Get some rest. I appreciate that. Luckily, I love what I do. So staying up late, watching the weather all day, I was probably going to do it anyway. Campbellsville. Okay, there's a good one. We haven't had one from Campbellsville yet. Sandra Justice on Campbellsville is asking. So we'll go back to Advanced Track real quick. Give you guys a little bit of an idea for Campbellsville, for some of our Southern Kentucky communities. I know we have a lot of viewers down in Litchfield, Taylor Hart, Greene County, Adair County. So Campbellsville, latest data shows it weakening a lot by the time it gets to you. It's still windy. Obviously, you can still see the wind gusts on there. But we're talking probably between around 3 and 4 in Campbellsville. Fort Knox probably between around 1 and 2. How about them Hoosiers, man? Matt Profit. They scared me for a little bit. They were losing in the first quarter. I was like, uh-oh. Kirk Kennedy got paid. He'll be all right. All right, we'll take a few more questions, and then we'll go ahead and hop off here. Again, guys, if you like these Facebook Lives, please share, hit the like button, hit the share button, and get out to as many people as possible in case you can't tune in tonight. I will be back on here again, or on air, starting at 10, from 10 to 11:30 tonight. And that will be with new data. That's going to be with data that you and I haven't even seen yet. And that'll be kind of a new update, kind of the last, all right, here we go, let's ride it out. But in terms of like high end severe, this is not the case, guys. Not at all. Some of you aren't even going to hear thunder tonight. In fact, a lot of you probably won't. But what you are going to hear is that wind howling. But this is a perfect way to kind of come on here and be able to talk to you guys in a more relaxed form. You know, I'm not cut to time. I can come on here and talk about Chilean football if I want to. I mean, the other day we talked about woolly worms. So, all right. Is the wind going to be bad in Salem? Yeah, they're not included in that, or yes, they are. They're included, excuse me, in that wind advisory. So if you're just joining, I'll pull that wind advisory back up one more time for you guys. So there are the counties covered by that. That starts at 1 a.m., and this is for wind gusts 40 to 50. They're isolated. It's not constant 50-mile-an-hour winds, but I think some locations could reach that at times. All right, let's see. So all the suburbs in Louisville are all within that 1 to 3 time frame, just to kind of cover all of that. Diana, if there's going to be thunder, it's more likely going to be west of 65. Camping at Land Between the Lakes. How am I looking? Just got here. Kicking Chicken. What's up with all these chicken names on YouTube, man? I had like 4 chicken names. All right, anyway. Land Between the Lakes. It's since you're further south. Again, it's kind of the same for everybody. You're going to be weakening the further east that this goes. The best chance for it is in western Kentucky, though. So if you know anybody heading out to a lake in western Kentucky or they're out there, they could see some stronger wind gusts and maybe a couple severe thunderstorm warnings. But I mean, guys, when we take a look at this right now, once I get satellite radar here up here in just a second, again, there's not a whole lot of warnings on the system at the moment, and it's moving through an area that's been warm all day. So if it's not doing much now, who's to say it's going to do a lot later, right? There are no warnings. Okay, there are no warnings at that line right now. Could we add a couple? The NWS could, but I mean, it again, this is moving into the slight risk right now that the Storm Prediction Center has out, and there's no warnings on it. So doesn't mean there's not going to be in our area, but I'm telling you, this is not that scenario where you need to stay up all night and freak out about it. It's not that case. Now, the only thing I will note with this line moving in, you can see a little bit of that kind of bowing segment right here. See how it kind of bows out like that, like a little bow and arrow? That shows and tells me, as someone who knows radar, that you're going to have some strong straight line winds moving into Carbondale, Illinois. So could they put a more severe warning on that? Sure. But again, you can also notice with this line that's to our west right now, you see all this light rain that's out ahead of it. Carbondale, moving into Vienna, Cape Girardeau, Harrisburg. That rain is cooling the atmosphere. So by the time that main line over Perryville and I-55 gets to where Harrisburg is now, it's going to be cooled off. There's going to be less storm energy. And this is what I'm talking about is, while some of these are going to bring in some good winds for our area and still can do a little bit of wind damage, in terms of severe storms, this is just not a great case for it. It's just not. I-65 corridor, Lisa Scobie, thank you for joining. I see your comment. It'll probably be between around 1 and 3 o'clock. If you want really specific, maybe between like 1:30 and 2:30, but we'll look at the newest data once it comes in within the next hour or so. All right, guys, I'm going to do about 5 more minutes, and I'm going to hop off here so we can go shoot teases. Samantha Jean says, my chickens are going to be airborne. Lock them in that coop. Lock them in that coop. All right. My son loves watching WDRB. He loves the weather mostly. Cassie, that's awesome. That's about when most of us got into it. I started liking the weather when I was like 5. And I would watch Storm Stories with Jim Cantori on Weather Channel. You guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, please keep your pets inside if you can. This is a great night. Keep them in. It's going to be windy. It's going to be, again, we're not really too concerned with the storms in particular. It's more the wind. But I know a lot of people are a little interested in this since it's the first kind of, really, in the fall time, you want a real cold front. During the summer, you get a cold front. It's like, all right, we go from, 95 to 92. Whoo, big whoop, right? In fall, you get cold fronts, especially in like November. Well, we're getting close to that. And now we're going to start to see that change because by the time we get to Monday morning, we're in the low 40s in our area, folks. And we've got like 5, 6 straight days in a row where we're in the 60s for highs. Wednesday, which is my birthday, now I'm thinking about it. Wednesday, it's going to be cool. Some of us may not even get out of the 50s. So this is going to change our weather pattern for a little bit. Yeah. All right. A few more questions. Sorry, I know I'm going on a rant. Any chance for pop-up tornadoes, Sandra Slaughter? We covered that a little bit ago. It's a non-zero chance, but it's a very low chance. I will leave it at that. Very low. Thank you, Felicia. I appreciate that. Let's see if I've missed any. I'm going to scroll up through here. Hopefully I've covered all specific locations. If you have any more specific location requests, tune in on WDRB at 10 and 11 because that data will be newer than what I just showed you. I haven't even looked at it yet. That's why I'm going to get off here just a minute so we can go look at it. So I can go look at it. Any hail expected tonight? If we do see any, it'll be small hail. Nothing crazy. Let's see more of the new ones. Connie, I love everyone at WDRB. Jude, Mike, and Bryce are my favorite. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I won't tell Mark, even though I'm on his page right now. Are we expecting the first frost or freeze this week? Good question, Travis. Right now, I would say no. I'm not saying that some areas, like rural communities, couldn't get some frost, but with this system, it's not quite cold enough. It'll be chilly, but it's not quite cold enough yet. Our average frost, our average first frost for the fall is October 20th in Louisville. So we're getting into that time frame. Good question. Go Big Blue, Ron Hack. Watching my Mississippi State Bulldogs lose their game against Florida. I haven't checked it, but I'm pretty sure they lost. Raina is probably at home. She's not working a double like I am. Any snow in the forecast? No. No, there's not. Not yet. Slow down, TG. Slow down on YouTube. Oh, man. All right, a couple more questions, then we're going to hop off here. Again, if you have any questions about specific timing, I'm going to have a new update at 10. It's right now I'm thinking around 1 to 3 for Louisville, 12 to 1 for our western communities west of 65, and around 2 to 4 for east of 65. Enough energy for spin ups. Brett on Facebook asks. Yes, there's a lot of wind energy. There's not a lot of turning with height, which you have to get tornadoes. You have to have wind shear turning as it goes up in the atmosphere. We don't have a lot of that. I'm not saying we don't have any. It's just not a lot. So we'd be pretty hard pressed to get a spin up. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's just not the most likely one. Yep, Connie, I'm still team holdout too. And I have a toddler at home. So we'll see if I say that after the next week. Bust out the pumpkin spice. I'll tell you what, you might be right. We got a lot of 60s this week. Nobody tell Mark. All right, we'll do 2 more questions, then we'll hop off. I got to get ready to go shoot teasers here before they come in here and yell at me. You'll be watching at 10. Thank you, Felicia. I appreciate that. Again, if you guys like these, again, hit like and share. We love doing these. It's really easy. I can literally talk to you guys like I'm talking to you all face to face. I'm not bound by time like I am on TV or anything like that. So, and we can talk about anything, whether it's weather or not. Do you know when the time will fall back? Felicia asks. I believe it is November 2nd. Don't quote me on it. Let me check the calendar. I believe it's November 2nd. November 2nd and November 3rd. A couple weekends from now. And it'll be dark at like 5:45. Hopefully no power outages. TG on YouTube says, I think isolated or maybe scattered power outages are possible because these winds are legit. But widespread, I'd say no. But some scattered ones, I could see it. Is chili a good meal to make for the storm tomorrow? 100%. 100%. It's going to be chilly tomorrow afternoon. It will. All right, one more question, and then we're going to hop off. So happy to see you all on Facebook. Thank you, Deborah, even though I think you're watching from YouTube. So, again, guys, winds around most of our area are probably going to be around 30 to 35 sustained, gusting from 40 to 50 in isolated instances. And that could be what causes some scattered outages. Texas and UK game is 0-0. Did Mississippi State lose? I'm sure they did. It's pain. It's nothing but pain. They lost by 2. Oh. All right. Yep. Tie down those Halloween decorations. Crystal Bast, who I was out with earlier at the trunk or treat at Waverly Hills earlier. Yep. YouTube. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to hop off here. I got to go shoot teases before I get in trouble. So, again, thank you guys for joining. If you really like how we do these Facebook Lives now, it's a lot more kind of in depth with you guys. Hit like. You can follow me on Facebook. For those watching on anything else other than my page, Meteorologist Bryce Jones on Facebook. You can ask me a question. I'll do my best to answer. You can share the video. And you can catch me on WDRB at 10 tonight, all the way through 11:30. And then we're going to be going through the newest data I haven't even looked at yet. I haven't seen that you haven't seen. So there may be some tweaks. It's important that you tune in. Be sure you tune in to that on DRB or BKI. I'll have to see how football's going at the time behind that.